First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for coming this morning. We really appreciate it. It's a little bit intimidating to be in front of such a distinguished crowd, but I promise I will try and do my best. The reason that this today and this event is called Why Tenerife is because it's a very good question, isn't it? Most of you probably think of Tenerife as a tourism destination. I'm sure many of you have been there, have gone to enjoy our beaches or some of our wonderful resorts. But you probably haven't thought about the island as an investment opportunity. So we thought that if our economic brand was going to sort of break that barrier and get people thinking, then we needed to start with a question. So hopefully by the end of my presentation, and then when we have our distinguished speakers come up and get a little bit more in depth into the fiscal advantages, by the end of it you'll be able to answer my question. And I will put you on the spot and ask you to come up with the best answer for Why Tenerife. But before that, let me see if I can run through some of the answers for you. So the first answer, obviously, is that our geographical location is absolutely strategic. We are a gateway between 3 continents. So when you're talking about import and export, it is extremely important to be located in a place that you can get your goods from continent to continent very quickly. The Canary Islands, as you know, it's part of Spain, which is part of the European Union, but we are geographically in Africa, which opens a lot of doors to the African continent. You know that that continent is booming. It is one of the last sort of great investment opportunities and business opportunities on the planet, and we are right there. Tenerife is the largest of the 7 islands. We have the most population and obviously the strongest economy. So to put in perspective a little bit our size, I've given you some data here and put it into perspective with other countries. So in the Canary Islands, we have a population of a little bit over 2 million. As I said, we're the largest of that. The population of Tenerife is slightly under 1 million, 889,000 to be exactly specific, give or take a few bursts this morning. We have a fairly large island. As I said, it's the largest. And the most important part, I think, about this is the growth that the island has seen in the last year. We all know that Spain has gone through a very deep crisis, but we were lucky enough in Tenerife that we started to recuperate. And as you can see, in 2014, we showed a fairly good growth, considering what we were coming from. And to, as I said, to put it into perspective, it's looking at the same GDP growth that Switzerland had last year. This is one of my favorite parts because I'm lucky enough to live there. But it is a very lovely place to live. And not only for that, it means that the turnover rate for your company tends to be very low. The costs of living are very low. So your employees tend to be very happy, and it's very easy to attract talent to the island. Not only are you able to find on the island the types of profiles that you need to have a successful business, but if you need to bring somebody very specialized, usually nobody's going to complain about having to come to live. We had a very large company just open offices a few months ago, and they were deciding between Tenerife and somewhere in Poland. One of the reasons that they ended up picking Tenerife over Poland is, first of all, nobody could pronounce the city in Poland because it had absolutely no vowels. I think in 16 letters it had 1 vowel, and everybody can say Tenerife. And then they had, 4 hours of sunlight between September and May, whereas we are very lucky to have stable temperatures. That also means that the tourism industry, which attracts over 6 million tourists, is a captive audience for companies. There's not a lot of places that your client list not only is your resident population, but every day we get between 150 and 2,000 extra captive clients that can buy goods, products, and services on the island. Plus, it's just a lovely place to be with 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites and everything you could possibly want to do on the island. This is very important. Modern infrastructure. Again, having to switch that focus between a leisure destination and operating a business, you need to know what type of infrastructure is on the island. So here we go. We have 2 hospitals with specialized medical services. The medical sector in Tenerife is growing very high. We are getting a lot of medical tourism, especially from Africa, people that are coming in to have procedures done because they want to have it in such high-level hospitals that are offered on the island. We have 2 universities, which means that we're constantly churning out the next generation of talent. Those people that will come into your company and make sure that in 5 years you're very, very successful. Large industrial areas, and what I think is one of our shining pieces is the telecommunications infrastructure that we have on the island, which I'll get into in a minute. Connectivity. As I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, it's really important to be able to get your clients in and out of the island quickly, to be able to move your goods quickly, and also in this day and age, data connection is absolutely essential for the success of any company. So here we go. We are connected to 164 airports with over 100 airlines. That means no matter where your client is, you can get them to and from the island very, very quickly. 278 ports all around the world, so wherever you need to get your goods or wherever you need to bring something in, you can get it there very quickly. And then, as I said, we're very proud of our telecommunication structure. We are connected with state-of-the-art fiber optic cables. We just put in, as you can see, there's 2 cables that run down the west coast of Africa. We just put in, and we are a member of the ACE Consortium, which is a brand new state-of-the-art fiber optic cable that runs from Dakar, which is the first landing point in Africa, all the way down to South Africa, where it connects to the seaport cable, which runs up the east side of Africa. And we are the southernmost point of that cable in the European Union. So it runs from Tenerife straight to Dakar. What does that mean in this day and age? Time with data is money. So if you can get your data to where you need it to be faster, you're going to save money. This is what I was saying. The circuit we also have a very powerful satellite system, which is very good as a redundancy that works part of the northern part of Africa, the western part of Africa, and up into the southern part of Spain. We have a state-of-the-art neutral data center. It's a tier 3+. So that means that you can use one of the current operators, or you can rent out your own space and make sure that it is completely secure and that you're running it under your own specifications. We also have one of the most powerful supercomputers in the world. It is named within the 500 best supercomputers in the world. It is the 2nd most powerful in Spain, right behind the supercomputer in Barcelona. The good thing about this supercomputer is when we designed it with the private sector in mind. Most supercomputers, as you know, have been designed for universities, for R&D centers, for investigation. We wanted this supercomputer to be specialized in rendering, especially for the private sector. So it was very easy to get time and space on this supercomputer as you need it. The fiscal advantages, I'm not going to get into it too much, but I just want to give you a brief overview because the minister and our distinguished guest are going to speak about it in a little bit. But the basic idea is you have all of this infrastructure, you have a political and geographic strategic location, but you're also going to save money because there are a lot of fiscal advantages that you can have. Just to run through and give you some ideas, we're talking about a 4% corporate tax rate. I can assure you that anywhere else in the world you're going to pay more than that, and it is not a tax haven, which we'll get into, and that's a very important point. This is an example of some of the corporate tax rates compared to other places. So you're looking anywhere between 20 and 40% depending on the country you are. And in Tenerife, you only pay 4%. There's also a free trade zone, which is compatible with the ZEC. And as I said, we'll speak about that a little bit earlier. But I do want to get you in that frame of mind before you listen to our experts, that the fiscal advantages on the island are a definite reason to come when you combine it with all the other infrastructure and possibilities that are on the island. So you're probably asking me, this sounds good in theory, right? But what are the actual opportunities? What sectors can take advantage of this? Here are a few of them. The reason that I picked these, because all of these are applicable to all the fiscal advantages that we'll talk about later, but they also have sector-specific deductions, tax rebates, and credits. So these are specifically very interesting and tend to be sectors that are growing in the global economy right now as well. And just so you believe me and you don't think I'm making this up, I wanted to run through 3 very quick success stories. Most of you here, I'm sure, know Atos. They are the technology provider for the Olympic Games. They just won. They provided all the technology for the London Olympic Games, and they did it very well. And they've just won the new contract for the next 4 Olympics as well, so they'll be in Rio. They have installed in Tenerife. They were actually the first ZEC company to install. They've just expanded. They've hired another 400 people, and they provide services to all the major companies all around the world from Tenerife. So they're providing services from Tenerife to Nike, to ExxonMobil. I could keep naming big companies, but from Tenerife. And again, it's because of the infrastructure. They're one of the major service providers and major users of the supercomputer. The connectivity for them is extremely important because they're constantly bringing clients from all over the world. So they're sort of our shining example because they really use all of the arguments and all of the reasons that I've just given you for why Tenerife. The largest boat manufacturer from Korea, funny enough actually, last year opened a company in Tenerife. They are part of the free trade zone. So they are a ZEC company. They're importing and exporting goods without tariffs and duties. And using it as a European base for all of their expansion in North and South America. And then Fred Olsen, as you may know, is a Norwegian company that has been based on the island for very many years now, taking advantage, again, of our strategic position and the fiscal advantages. So with that, I promised that I would be short. I hope that I've given you a few tidbits of some of the reasons why you should consider investing in Tenerife. Through my department, oh, it disappeared. We have a service which is called Tenerife Investment Point. We have several experts on our team that can help you with all of your questions, and we also help you set up your operation in Tenerife. We try and go one step further, so we really are a red carpet service. You come to us with an idea, we'll help you expand that idea, we'll give you legal and fiscal advice, and then we'll actually walk you through the process. So if you want us to take you to set up the company and go to the legal registries, we would be happy to accompany you and make sure that you get up and running successfully. So I am around afterwards if you'd like to ask me any questions, but really you didn't come to listen to me, you came to listen to our experts. So I will pass it over.
Thank you, Stephanie.